The permaculture garden project at UMass Amherst went from grass to food in under a year, and more recently, project participants harvested a national award at the White House. I spoke with two students and sustainability manager Ryan Harb about what makes permaculture different from traditional gardening.
So permaculture gardens are, first off, extremely diverse. Our permaculture garden at Franklin Dining Commons at UMass has over 100 different species. And that ranges from fruit trees to nut bushes to berry bushes, perennial vegetables, annual vegetables, herbs, so everything in one tight space.
And we featured it a little bit on Connecting Point last season. It's a quarter acre that all of those 100 different crops are on. So how are you able to fit such a diverse crop sort of yield in such a small portion of land?
Yeah, so also when we're designing a permaculture garden, we really take into consideration the relationships between the different plants. So permaculture gardens really take into account companion planting and how different plants are going to share resources with one another.
Because you don't want to put things that would be competing.
Right, it's more about cooperating.
Yeah, Josephine and Emily, you two have been working at the permaculture site at UMass, and you also got to go to the White House when you guys were named Campus Champion of Change. You guys won that award earlier, we're in April, so in March, and you traveled to the White House. So what information did you want people to know about permaculture when you got to meet President Obama?
Sure. Well, we found out about a week before that we were part of this competition, and we basically had to gather as many votes as we possibly could. So,
because the White House picked about 15 finalists nationwide, and then online voting put you guys on top.
Yes.
Right. So we were one of 15 finalists, and then we gathered 60,000 votes from faculty, students, from community members, people all over the world, permaculturalists all over the world, voted for us. And we ended up winning first place, which was amazing. So all 15 of us on the committee got to go to the White House to be part of an event where President Obama spoke to us. And his speech was really inspiring because we could tell that it wasn't scripted. And he spoke about how young people are going to change the world and how it's important to be idealistic when you're young, and how we're going to come across perhaps some failures, but we need to be persistent and be positive.
Keep working for that change that he was talking about.
Right, and we were so excited about being able to go to the White House because permaculture has been around for about 30, 40 years now, but not that many people know about it. So we're really focused on spreading the word about what permaculture is and how beneficial it is.
And do you think, Emily, that this award is sort of helping to change that? Have you guys seen an interest now from outside universities in this? What have they said?
Oh yeah, there's been a lot of interest that's been generated on campus. We did a lot of outreach to the students that were here and involved, and spread the word there. We've also been getting a lot of attention from other universities and other groups who are really interested in permaculture and possibly getting something like this started at their place too.
Because Ryan, UMass right now is the only public university that is actively developing permaculture gardens and then using that food in the dining commons, right?
I would say we're one of the first. There are definitely other universities that have been doing it. We're one of the ones that are really trying to share our model, what we've been accomplishing with having our students and the administration working together. And it's been such an incredible relationship, that collaboration that's happening. So what we're trying to do now is we're actually sharing this model of having students design and implement permaculture gardens right in really visible locations on campus, and have that be shared with different schools at a conference that we're going to be hosting this summer.
And why is that visibility important, and how is it possible? Because typically I think, at least when I think of farming, I think of a field of whatever major crop it is that you're growing, lettuce or corn, what have you, and it's off in some sort of far removed place. How can the crops
speak to that?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Sure. The fact that the site is so visible is because, and people are walking by it, thousands of students are walking by it every single day. And they might not realize it firsthand, but it's actually changing the way that they think about the food systems in the U.S. and think about it. Gives them ownership and empowerment of growing their own food and how easy it is, and that it is possible. We don't have to get our produce from thousands of miles away. It
Emily,
just makes sense.
Why did you want to get involved? Was it that? Did you walk by one day and say, "Hey, look, that's a garden. I want to dig into that"? I mean.
So I actually met one of the permaculture committee members back last spring before I started on the committee, and I asked her, you know, what's permaculture? And she started giving me this answer, and it turned out that there's like all these different things that were part of it, how it's a mesh of the words permanent and agriculture, and I was really interested. So I started looking more into it, and it seemed like such a great solution that we can do here on campus and that students can be involved in. I really like the solution aspect of it instead of like saying, oh, we need to reduce this, reduce that. This is creating a solution instead.
Ryan, let's look at permaculture 101, I'll call it.
Sure.
If someone's interested or think that they might, you know, have a quarter acre of land or something on their property that they would like to do this in, what are some things that you absolutely need for permaculture to be successful?
Sure. So I would say one of the things that's really important about our project at UMass is how we've gotten so many people involved. And so you can
1,000 volunteers.
1,000 volunteers, right? And so, you know, anyone can go out and you can make a garden. And some people are happy gardening by yourself, but for me personally, and I think a lot of the students on the committee, is that it's so much fun when you have people working together. And so I would say one of the biggest aspects of permaculture is that people care aspect, where you're in a garden together, you're learning, you're sharing stories, and you're having fun while you're doing it.
So it's a real community, a way to engage the community, it sounds like.
Yeah, so it's actually evolved from permanent agriculture to permanent culture. And so it's about really people working together to create these ecological landscapes, but also creating more sustainable communities in general.
And I understand you're expanding on campus, so you'll have a total of 3 gardens soon?
Yeah.
Now, are you going to grow different crops at each site, or will you have just more of what you are already harvesting?
Well, part of permaculture is doing site analysis, so each site is very different. The Franklin site has a lot of sun. The Berkshire site does not have that much sun, so we have to plant shade-loving plants in that area and things like that.
And I also understand that on the initial site, near the road, where you tend to get a lot of salt and sand, you approach that differently too. So what are you planting there?
Yeah, so we have you know, different conditions on different parts of the site. And so one little acre, or 1/4 of an acre in our case, can have different soil and different conditions in every single place.
Which is how you end up with 100 different crops.
Right. And so we have these different microclimates. And along roadsides, especially in New England, we get all this snow each year, and the plows come along and they put sand and they put straw. And that makes it so people don't slip and fall and hurt themselves. But all that, the sand and the salt, makes these conditions along roadsides that are similar to beach conditions. So along the roadside, we have beach plum and beach rose, which offer edibles as well as attracting beneficial insects into the garden.
Excellent, makes perfect sense there.
Right.
What do you think is the smallest portion of land that you could develop a permaculture garden on?
Yeah, it can be anything really.
Yeah.
You know, anyone can start. You can just start by planting a few different crops right next to each other. It could be one fruit tree with a couple of herbs and a couple of annual vegetables right underneath it. It can be as small as 5 by 5 feet, just a little polyculture.
Great.
You could even take it into like an apartment setting where you have a deck that you can grow things on. If you have a window that's facing a sunny spot, you can grow things there too. So you don't have to have a yard. You don't have to have like a big farm. You can kind of incorporate it into whatever
space you
have.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Urban permaculture.
Lots of great examples. Thanks for coming in. Congratulations on winning the award.
Thank
you
you.
very much.